Hello, it is Tuesday, the 4th of May 2021, and we begin a new 20-day process of Red Dragon. So that's what today's video is all about. Maybe you can feel this huge shift in energy that's happening this week. It's really, really powerful. So where are we on the calendar? So we're here up at the top, and we're on Red Spectral Dragon, which, as you can see, is the blue parts of the cycle. So we're coming into another super amazing transformation time now, beginning today. We're on the 8th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th column going down. As I said, Red Spectral Dragon, what we're letting go of, eliminating in the next 20 days around the cycle that began back here on the 15th of December. And it's remembering that what this whole thing is about is moving away from codependency patterns to be in our centre, to be empowered individuals who are in balance with our masculine and feminine within, in a nutshell. Many people are now quite familiar with the narcissist pattern, and again, this is totally interlinked with codependency. This is an old pattern on the planet. We've experienced it in many lifetimes, and in this lifetime, we now have the ability to use our ancestral DNA to uncover deep patterning, which again is what this is all about, to work with this amazing tool to set ourselves free from that karmic pattern wheel. And all the astrology is really helping us to do that. So it's recognizing our patterns, those that are no longer serving us, that are simply old habitual ways of being, and creating new boundaries, setting ourselves free from anything that is a power struggle for us, especially evident at the moment on the planet, and in particular with the astrology of Taurus Sun. So today we have Taurus Sun and we have Aquarius waning moon, and there's lots of things happening that I'm going to share with you in the next 20 days astrologically. Let's have a look at the bigger picture overview of where we're going. So we're going from Spectral Dragon. So again, we've got plenty of experience now over this particular cycle, of course our entire life cycle, in particular using this method to focus on what we're letting go of. We've had all that experience that we've been encountering since the 15th of December. And so remembering that it's the micro expands to the macro. What we're seeing on the world game plan right now is each person's individual narcissistic story pattern that is up close and personal on the world stage so that everyone can see it. And it's becoming really clear about how that is out on the outside is there because there's an inner belief that that has to exist. So the universe has to match it. And so it's working on all of these levels, bringing them all together on a personal level so that I can start to become clear and free of it, and each one of us can. And then as a collective, this starts to really change. So it's really a very exciting time as people are starting to awaken to what's going on. Of course, it's so strong, it's so powerful out there around power and control, construction, how we're being repressed as individuals, because on one level we're allowing it, we have a belief system around it, and it's something that some of us, it's all we've ever known, is these sorts of dynamics in relationship. And so now, once we become consciously aware, we can start to create strategies for ourselves to do something new, which is also what's going to happen to change the world picture. So it's remembering that the world picture changes because of each one of us taking action, with the majority of the focus on the inside, healing, learning new ways of relating, and then taking action with that learning to be more assertive, have better boundaries, and to learn from our past family dynamics so that we get to keep the good stuff and the wisdom and unlock the secrets. That's the other amazing, powerful experience that happens as a result of doing this work. So it takes us through 20 days down to yellow self-existing sun. So how we can be free and hold more light, more energy, more connection to the galactic sun, which is truth, which is a way of relating that is healthy, that's free from any codependency. So again, it's not easy to do. I'm not saying that it is. It's challenging work, and it's essential to set us free to feel good, be healthy holistically on all levels, mind, body, and spirit, moving towards ways of being that are healthy for us. That's the critical factor. Because often we get stuck in the habitual behaviour. Sometimes it is unconscious, but even when it becomes conscious, it can be challenging to let go of because it's a coping mechanism. And I'm going to be running a workshop about this, which I will post details about and do a separate video. That's coming up in just over a week's time online, so can be really useful for you to really start getting into creating new habits that align with health and just bringing awareness on all levels around what am I doing that's an old pattern, what can I change about that, how to create new ways of doing behaviour that's good for you, because that's what the universe has always wanted for us. We've just got stuck in a dynamic in order to learn that dynamic and what that creates for each individual as a human being. So remember, the Aquarius age is all about being solution focused. It's about being emotionally free in a healthy way so that all our emotions can flow and be expressed, and we don't feel a need to hide in some way. We don't feel a need to be fearful that we can't speak our truth. We don't hold on to lots of anger, for example, over a long period of time and eventually blow our top because we can't contain it anymore. So it's all of this energy coming into balance within us and being able to have the courage to be who we really are, our authentic self. So that's really what Spectral Moon is about. It's what needs to be eliminated, let go of, that anything causing this cognitive dissonance around what we know on a deep level isn't truth, but we're trying to still work with that program because we feel that we have to work with that program, you know, to survive, literally. If we don't, however, make the steps away from it at some point, then we're just going to get more and more stressed, living out of alignment with truth of who we really are. And it's not what we're here for. So this is so key. Okay, so to run through the 20-day process, it takes us from yellow spectral dragon today, the 4th of May, and it takes us to the 23rd of May, yellow self-existing sun, and lots happening in between. So today we're in spectral moon day 3. So in numerology terms, that's a day of co-creation. And with Mercury just going into Gemini, doesn't that match totally perfectly? As always, this is a great thing about learning about astrology and frameworks like the dream spell, is you see how everything's magically happening. And so we can start to relax more and trust there's a program going on. It's a divine program. And all we need to do to work in a more powerful way is just to become more aware of what's happening in the starry skies, how it's affecting our personal cosmic code, our personal astrology, so we can work more consciously and more powerfully in co-creation. So co-creation is a totally different dynamic to codependent relationship, and it allows us to release all of our magic and our creativity. That's the difference. So just to quickly run through what we've got coming up. On the 8th, we have got Ceres going into Taurus. So that's a very different energy. So whenever we move from Aries, the fire sign, inspiration, the start of the solar wheel, we've got an ignition, a fire starter, if you will. And so that energy runs in whatever planet it is in. And then by the time it gets to Taurus energy, we're then coming into the manifestation of that. So it's what we've got coming in from spirit, coming through us, and then what we're going to create, what we're going to manifest with that goddess energy. That's how I see the Taurus energy. And so on the 11th, continuing the Taurus theme, we've got the new moon in Taurus, which in the UK is at 1959, and that's at 21 degrees Taurus. And that is on this day, which is yellow overtone star. And I'll come back to this in a minute, because as you can see, that's a portal day. It's 1 of 10. So we've got 10 super huge cosmic gateways of potentiality to really work with our akashic record, which is what this 260-day spiral is all about. It's about connecting to that Sagittarius energy of akashic, the old story, the spirit story, the many life story, becoming very aware of that now and how we go through to the next level by understanding all of this stuff, and most importantly, understanding how to heal it. So yellow overtone star is really mastery of being the star that we really are, the star seed, the gift that we've come to bring. And all of that is available in our astrology, and that's like our map for our spiritual path. So the more skilled we become at reading that, understanding that, then the more amazing the miracle of life becomes. And when you use all of these things together, combined, they are a supercharged, super acceleration level for the individual. So this is great stuff to know. On the 13th, we've got another amazing event, which is Jupiter, the mastery planet, goes into Pisces. So Jupiter is a real amazing expansion energy. Going into Pisces means on a light side, we're going to see an expansion of our Christ conscious ability to download magical experiences, for example, things that we may not yet be embodying, but can certainly happen for us in the future if we create change within us that allows us to access that and live it. So that's going to be a very magical time. That's White Resonant Dog Day, number 7. So again, as you can see, that's another portal day, which is super amazing energy. And it's what's resonating with the Sirius star of White Dog, the 10th mind sign. The heart's desire is to heal and to clear these old ancestral patterns, which is what White Dog is all about. So again, I've mentioned the light side. The shadow side is our addictions, our coping mechanisms, anything that isn't health and truth for the human being, anything that causes disease. Again, things, for example, like sugar changes our biochemistry, it's addictive, it makes us eat more. It's not good for us on a physical level whatsoever, and causes a lot of damage, a lot of inflammation. Alcohol, which of course does contain a lot of sugar. Again, if you look at the base processes for these things, it's all there to be seen. And funnily enough, they're all connected to slavery systems. And that's no coincidence, is it? So again, historically, these have and continue to cause huge suffering to people, huge suffering around alcohol dependency. Also, it's poisonous, it's what it does to your body. And this is so essential for people to really understand their own sabotaging self-talk around that, because I know a lot of people use this as coping mechanism, as fun, but actually if you look at what it does of itself, in terms of how people use it and the devastation that it causes on every level, how can it be a treat? We've been sold a lie around so many of these things, and people have literally become hooked on them. And so this is totally in the center, because we're in the center of what is seeking to be released from the human being. Things like coffee, anything with caffeine in, anything that speeds you up, wakes you up supposedly, any sort of drug that's doing that, anything that takes the edge off, calms you down, it has a huge price to pay for doing that. And there's lots of other ways out there now to help us live stress-free, more relaxed about life, loving life, getting high on life. And we don't need all of these old crutches. But of course, we have to make all the changes that are in alignment with that. If there's something in our life that is stressing us, that needs to be eliminated wherever possible, as soon as possible, or we need to be making steps towards that freedom from codependency, because wherever there's codependency, there's a narcissistic root attached to it. So if you haven't checked out narcissism yet, if you don't understand the concept of it yet, then get Googling, get checking it out, start doing your research. If you want to know more, then please do contact me, and I can point you in the direction of some really good information and ways to free yourself from it. This is something I have experienced and something that I'm very passionate about sharing with other people, because it's a revelation in your life once it starts to come in. And it's absolutely what this time is all about, is revealing these patterns around narcissistic personality disorder. So on the 20th, we have got the next 52-day process is beginning. And if you'd like to know more about that, again, I'll be doing a video about that. I have a small group of people who are doing the 52-day process. This is specially designed for women, and in particular, generally women over the age of 50, because that is my area of expertise, being one. And so lots of women have the same patterns, and working together synchronistically, it's just amazing how we get huge insights and breakthroughs and start to see more and more patterns, which is what this is all about, is becoming more consciously aware and sharing our star-seeded energy again around how we've discovered different ways to set ourselves free from the old story and be ready to create the new one. So here is Red Earth, and that is of course in the yellow castle, so we're leaving the blue castle there. And we've got a new 52-day process of embodiment of seeing what is true for us on planet Earth. Magically, again, that's the same day as the sun goes into Gemini, so all around co-creation, and we can put into practice what we've been working on in all the previous castles. So that's going to be really powerful. On the 23rd, which is the last day, we have Saturn is going to go retrograde. And Saturn is in Aquarius at 13 degrees at the moment. So it's a magic goddess shift number. So it's possible to shift our old Saturnian story around who we think we are and what we've come to believe about ourselves so far. So that's really magic. So just before I go to the cards, I'm just going to focus again on what's coming up in terms of those portal days, because we've got a super intense time coming up again with all this goddess energy of the new moon in Taurus as well. And so here we go, we've got yellow seed, so we've got 2 more days to go, and then we're going into yellow seed. We've got 2 days of regular energy, and then we've got 10 days of going into the portals, and then the last day where we come out the other side. So this is an amazing time to really get focused on yellow seed energy. And yellow seed energy, the planet is Jupiter, which is the mastery planet. So remember, coming up is Jupiter in Pisces. So how to expand our awareness about how we use coping mechanisms to survive. Those coping mechanisms that we've used up to now have to be adapted because they're not in the thrival pattern. Okay, thrival, yes. They're a totally different vehicle, if you will, a different template. So yellow seed, it's a 4th mind sign, and so it's the structure point, and in numerology. So again, it's in terms of the mind tones, it's the number 4. It's a structure of the mask, for example, in psychology terms. So we've created a persona for ourselves that we project out. A lot of the time that's because of how we found a way to adapt to survive because of people in our birth family, for example. That pattern continues to grow at work, at school, and it isn't anything to do with us on one level. It's not who we really are. It's about who everyone else is and how they want us to behave, because most people, especially going back in decades ago, there was no or very little conscious awareness around how to parent, for example. Boundaries, good parenting, good blueprints. There was simply a repetition. You can even see that in education, repeating things in order to learn them, storylines being ingrained, and so that even though a child was often very innocent intellectually on those levels, they would soon learn that if they didn't conform, for example, with the family dynamic, then they would be punished in some way. And again, we can see where we are on the world playing field because of that right now, how that has expanded over time, literally to the point where we are wearing masks on a physical level on the outside. And what does that mean? You know, how does that make us feel? Again, a lot of the psychology is being ignored. It's hugely emotionally challenging for human beings to not be able to see somebody's face, because that in itself, again, if you Google this, if you look at the studies, this is core to human bonding. You know, if you can't look into somebody else's eyes, if you can't read their facial expression, if you can't understand their emotion, this causes distress on a deeper level. So there's lots of applied psychology behavior happening on the planet right now to literally push everybody's buttons. And depending on what your perspective is, depends on how you see this behavior being used in a very manipulative, coercive way as well. So everybody's at their own stage of awareness on this, and all of those stages are absolutely essential to us understanding the process wherever we are as well. We're not all going to be at the same level, because behaviorally, experientially, we have to observe other people as well in order to understand. This is why we're here in the 3D world, in the human dimension, is to literally become conscious creators and understand what creates certain outcomes, what behavior creates trauma for human beings is the key focus for me, because I know that if you minimize stress and you start to really understand yourself, then that is the core starting point. Everything else comes into place. You start to understand as you make that shift in healing what food you need to be eating. Intuitively, we know this stuff. We've just been programmed in a different way to override our instincts. And so the more that we learn to trust our instincts again, the more we can tap into that ancestral wisdom. So this is what happens as a result of doing inner healing process. And for me, it's about using EFT, emotional freedom technique. So check that out if you haven't already. It's amazing and it works. It's very dynamic. It's very empowering. So I'm going to start with the cosmic code for today on the moon in Aquarius. We've got at 24 degrees. And so again, this is focusing on, as I said earlier, becoming emotionally free, not because you're repressing your emotion, not because you're hiding your emotion, but because you are really working with yourself to heal and let go of any fear of expressing yourself emotionally, for starters. Using EFT with yourself, by yourself, for example, can help us to stop passing the pain parcel on. So we don't have to become drama queens. We don't have to become the behaviour that we don't like. We can really start to express our anger on a personal level in our own personal space using EFT, and come into a calmer and calmer space where we can then start to be assertive rather than be aggressive. And again, this is essential to understand the magic of how we project the old storylines until we understand and stop doing it. So emotional freedom technique really accelerates that process. Aquarius 24, a large brown bear picking and eating apples, gross indulgence and a conscience that just won't quit. Saturating your energy field with exaggerated gestures of capitulation to your own lower nature. But you do this in continual ironic juxtaposition to an observing intelligence and a keen conscience which deplore and have no use for your own shenanigans. Being split between the compulsive and addictive personality and the dispassionate and icily removed consciousness, you're trying to turn yourself around by alternately binging and reforming. But each binge triggers a reaction of the other side of mind, and each renunciation and reformation in turn triggers a further reaction. This dialectic between being bad and being good is all on the pro and con level of the dualistic mind. The only hope in this pattern lies in wearing out both ends so that a third place can open in which neither acting out nor becoming exemplary is all that necessary. You do what you do and you see it in the way you see it, and all the self-conscious overlays and each and every self-manipulation in whatever direction dissolve when the space is clear. That's fab, isn't it? So yeah, it's like when I'm talking about all of this stuff around addictions, I've had so many addictions. I still have some addictions. I'm working through my addictions. It's a multifaceted journey. It's going into each one, owning each one, and working your way through it of the timeline that aligns with you as well. So it's not simple, it's complex, and it's, you know, work in progress and all of that. And the more clear you become, the more you can download consciousness, literally, and start to do something different, because on every level you're doing something different. Today we've got the Isis card, Resurrection. And with Isis, I always look at this bit, which is. It is what it is. How many manipulations have we done around, you know, creating humour, for example, around, oh, it's a fruity wine. Does that mean I've had my 5 different sorts of fruit today, so it's healthy? No, it's not. It's wine, it's alcohol, it's poison. It is what it is. Pass it. Okay. Then going into all of that around, why do I still need to do it? What does it do for me? It's never about the thing, you know, it's about what it does. People who become heroin addicts, it's not about the heroin, it's how heroin makes them feel. It makes them feel numb on one level, euphoric. It's an escape. All addictions are escape on some level from what is. So the more that we start to become comfortable with the uncomfortable, as in what we are feeling ourselves, and just really tune into that and feel it and get in touch with, why are we feeling like that? Where's that coming from? What are the thoughts that are going on in our head? This is what we need to become really aware of. When we're taking something to take us out of that space, then we're doing ourselves a huge disservice, because we're not understanding and listening to that inner child that's trying to communicate that there's something not right about our life. So any medication, people argue about antidepressants and, oh yes, you know, for some people they need that because what? The time spent being on the antidepressant means limbo. It means not dealing with the issue. There is no excuse now to not finding sources, resources. They're all out there, all over the internet. So if I can do it, anybody can do it who is able-minded enough. I'm not talking about severe clinical depression, you know, or people who've had huge trauma, etc. I'm talking about there is no excuse for people who are in a reasonable state to start taking antidepressants. There's loads of other things that will help people get in touch with their grief and their anger and really start to do something empowering for them, because otherwise it's a codependent relationship. It's not facing the reality of life for whatever reason and avoiding it. So, you know, Isis is also in cosmic code. She is in there as an asteroid, and where she is in your chart is also pivotal. You can put other asteroids in there as well to explore where there's a part of us that has fragmented. So if you check out the Iris is another asteroid. If you check out the Isis story, if you just Google that, and you will see all the different aspects. And again, this is linked to Aquarius. So we've got a husband, Osiris, who has an affair with Set's wife and gets murdered as a result by Set. And then Isis goes to find all of his parts and in order to have a child with him. And that child is the age of Aquarius, is Horus. So she has created a new child, a new human being who has come as a way of getting all of these fragmented pieces and using a new piece, a golden penis that she had to make because she couldn't find his original penis. Okay. And when he gave birth to this son, well, when he was part of the creation process with her, he then died. So again, he'd done his service in order to create Horus. So again, if we just look at the metaphor of that story, this is about not doing things that are dishonorable and that are not in alignment with truth, and healing all those parts of us that have been fragmented. So to use another framework, a soul retrieval, all the traumatic experience stories in our life that are still there within us, that aren't healed and are still projecting a holographic story out there that we're continuing on our timeline with. So where this is in our charts is again another great area to look. Bring to me the assurance that when I have lost my way, the path will be restored to me, and whatever is broken can be made whole again. So it's essential for us to come into peace with what's happened in our life. That isn't excusing narcissistic behaviour, but it is about grieving for whatever we feel that we've lost, allowing our anger out, allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, and healing all of our trust issues. These are core things. Then learning from all this experience so we can trust ourselves again, trust our choices, learn how to make new boundaries. You know, this is Taurus energy, no bullshit, it is what it is. This is a time to connect to the goddess embodiment in us in order to create something new, this Horus energy. We have got universal cycles coming up, the shift, the number 13, that is so key to set us free. And we've got the fantastic Ace of Wands. So again, I will put a link to this under the video. And what the Ace of Wands is really about is fire in the chart, again in your astrological chart, is showing you where you have fire energy. And fire energy in the Mayan is solar, it's number 9, it's intuition, takes us to the next level. When we heal the human being story, we go to a different dimension, literally with 8 steps. We've got the octave, we do the inner healing, we change our energy, we change our heart resonance, and we go to the next level. So again, day 9 in every 13-day cycle, that is a key process as well. And so once we really start to be authentic and to heal all of these old stories and stop doing these codependent, people-pleasing diminishments of ourself, our true self, because we're afraid that if we be the true, amazing, shiny goddess light that we are, then somebody will create a backlash for that. Somebody will try and take revenge, try and pull us back in, try and control us. And of course, we go through these many challenges all the time around that as well. This is part of it. The challenge is there. This is a very proactive path, becoming aligned with the heart warrior. It isn't about being aggressive. It's about healing. It's about learning how to do new ways of loving ourselves. And so the Ace of Wands is the initiation. It's what, light that fire, ignite, and remember who we really are, that star seed that's come here to first and foremost liberate ourselves and bring our gift to the world around what we've come here to do. It's all there in the star chart, it's all there in the Mayan code. And so this is so key to this time. So 20 days of elimination, that's the key point. Eliminate anything that's codependent in your life, anything that's unhealthy, anything that's going to take you out of being your true nature on a deep level. You know what that is. You know when you're doing it, you can't lie to yourself. So that's the focus. What we're doing now as well is going to line up with, we've got a key eclipse season coming. Remember, with all of these moons that are coming up, these full moon energies and the eclipses that are starting. So we've got one on May the 26th. We've got another super moon there, lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Sagittarius. So these are going to be showing up 6 months later with the opposite energy. And we've got the North Node in Gemini at the moment, so that's very significant. And again, wherever that is in your chart, I have North Node in Gemini, so it's really hitting my transit. That's going to be there until January the 18th. And then we've got the North Node is going to go into Taurus. So all of these power struggles that are going on now are going to go to the next level then. And so what you're learning now, what you're doing, the more emphasis that you're going to put on yourself and your power struggles around intimacy, what you're trying to hold on to materially, what Scorpio is bringing for death and rebirth for you, then the more that you can do this inner work and set yourself free from anything or anyone, the monkey on your back, that's it. That's how you're going to see yourself move forward and shine. And if you don't, then you'll take what goes with that choice too. We have to take personal responsibility now for ourselves and for creating world change. Lots of love. Hope you have an amazing 20-day process. Watch out for my other videos. Please subscribe, click the little bell, and you'll get the next video. And if you want to join the next 52-day process, there's a link there for you to do that as well. So lots of love, and be the amazing goddess that you are.